Formula One racing is governed and sanctioned by a world body called the FIA, or Fédération Internationale de l'Automobile, or the International Automobile Federation. The name Formula comes from the set of rules that the participating cars and drivers must follow. Formula One is the highest class of international racing for open-wheel single-seater formula racing cars. The World Drivers' Championship, which became the FIA Formula One World Championship in 1981, has been one of the premier forms of racing around the world since its inaugural season in 1950. The Formula One season consists of a series of races known as Prix, which takes place worldwide on both purpose-built circuits and closed public roads. The objective of a Formula One contest is to determine the winner of a race. The driver who crosses the finish line first after completing a predetermined number of laps is declared the winner. Before we get into more details about F1, we would like to remind you that, as always, we have a bonus fact for you towards the end of the video, so stay tuned. With that being said, let's get into it. Grand Prix. The number of Grand Prix in a season has varied through the years, starting from 1950, which had 7 races. This number kept increasing to a maximum of 20 GPs a year in 2012. Normally, there are 19 to 20 GPs in a season now. The 2015 F1 season has 19 Grand Prix, out of which 8 have been completed. Each GP in a season is hosted by a different country and is named after the host country. Example, a GP held in Australia is called an Australian Grand Prix. That held in Monaco is called the Monaco Grand Prix, and so on. However, a GP can be held in the same or different cities of the host country every year. The minimum total distance of a Grand Prix race, including all the predefined number of laps, must be 300 kilometers or 190 miles. This is the standard distance for all races except for the Monaco GP, which is 260 kilometers or 160 miles. Race car specs. A Formula One car is an open-wheel, open-cockpit, single-seat racing car to be used in Formula One competitions. It is equipped with 2 wings, front and rear, plus an engine which is located behind the driver. The F1 races are conducted on specifically built racing tracks called circuits. Sometimes, they are conducted on closed public roads as well. Every F1 car is composed of 2 main components, the chassis and the engine. Formula One cars these days are made from carbon fiber and ultra-lightweight components. The weight must be not less than 702 kilograms or 1,548 pounds, including the driver and tires, but excluding the fuel. The dimensions of a Formula One car must be maximum of 180 centimeters width by 95 centimeters height. There is no specified number for maximum length, but all cars tend to be of almost the same length. According to regulation changes in 2014, all F1 cars must deploy 1.6-liter turbocharged V6 engines. Semi-automatic sequential carbon titanium gearboxes are used by F1 cars presently, with 8 forward gears and 1 reverse gear with rear-wheel drive. The steering wheel of an F1 car is equipped to perform many functions like changing gears, changing brake pressure, calling the radio, fuel adjustment, and so on. The fuel used by Formula One cars is a tightly controlled mixture of ordinary petrol, and it can only contain commercial gasoline compounds rather than alcohol compounds. All F1 cars can accelerate from 0 to 100 miles per hour or 160 kilometers per hour and decelerate back to 0 in under 5 seconds. F1 cars have reached top speeds of about 300 miles per hour or 185 miles per hour on average. However, some cars, without fully complying with F1 standards, have attained speeds of 400 kilometers per hour or more. These numbers are mostly the same for all F1 cars, but slight variations may be there due to the gears and aerodynamics configuration. Race info. The length of the race must be 305 kilometers or 260 kilometers in the case of Monaco GP, and is defined as the smallest number of complete laps that exceeds 305 kilometers. The number of laps in a race is obtained by dividing 305 by the length of a lap, which differs from track to track. The duration of the race cannot be more than 2 hours. If the allocated time of 2 hours is exceeded, the race is considered to be finished at the end of the ongoing lap. Refueling during the races was allowed earlier. but from 2010, this has been abolished. As a result, every car must ensure a loaded tank before the race begins. However, refueling during races will be permitted again from the 2017 season. Similar to motorsports and other racing competitions, racing flags are used in Formula One to send out various messages and signals to the drivers, like the race start or finish, lap indication, and weather indication, etc. The present system of Formula One World Championship points scoring was adopted in 2010 and has been continuing since. According to this system, the top 10 drivers at the end of each Grand Prix will receive points based on the positions they finished, and these points will contribute to determine both the World Drivers' and World Constructors' Championships at the end of the season. The winner receives 25 points, and to receive points, a driver must be classified as a finisher. For this, the driver must have completed 90% of the distance covered by the winner, regardless of whether he completes the race or not. If a race is stopped or cannot be restarted due to difficult weather conditions or any other circumstances, the top 10 finishers will get half the points given in the table, provided the winner has covered 75% of the race distance. If both cars of a team finish in the top 10, they both contribute to the Constructors' Championship points. If a driver changes teams in between a season, the points he gained with the previous team will still be added to his driver's points. However, the Constructors' points go to the respective teams. Rules and regulations. A Formula One race starts with a warm-up lap called the formation lap, and the pit lanes are open for this purpose 30 minutes before the actual race begins. Pit lanes are tracks away from the grid and are parallel to the start-finish line. During this time, the drivers are free to take any number of warm-up drives without actually going on the grid. After the pit lane closes, the drivers must take their places on the grid in their qualifying order. Once all the cars have taken their positions on the grid, the race begins on the starting line, 10 red lights in 5 pairs of columns. Each column lights one after the other, at an interval of 1 second from the left to the right direction. After all 5 columns are illuminated, they stay in that way for a few seconds, and then all of them extinguished at once and the race begins. If the start is interrupted due to any circumstances, the 5 red lights illuminate again but are not extinguished. Instead, orange lights are lit up and the race is restarted. The drivers who finish at first, second, and third positions at the end of the race stand on a podium and are awarded trophies. A constructor's trophy is also presented to the winner's team. Awards. The driver who scores the most points in a Formula One World Championship season is awarded the Formula One World Drivers' Championship. Formula One has produced some greatest sportsmen and legends. Some of these award winners are Michael Schumacher, Ayrton Senna, Juan Miguel Fangio, and Sebastian Vettel. The constructor who scores the most points in a Formula One World Championship season is also awarded the Formula One World Constructors' Championship. Thank you for staying with us so far. It's now time for the bonus fact. Every Grand Prix begins with 3 free practice sessions, with 2 of them held on Friday, each of 90 minutes, one in the morning and the other in the afternoon. The last practice session takes place on Saturday. Do you have a favorite Formula One driver? Comment below and let us know who that is. If you enjoyed the content, uplift the channel by hitting like, subscribe, and ring the YouTube bell to meet us again in the next video. Until next time.